Hello and welcome to How to Pass PMP Exam. In a nutshell, I am Mohammed Radi, Director of Project Metric Solutions, and this is the second session of before attending the PMP classes. Our methodology is what to study, definitions, and the specific things to study, and give you question and answers. Give you a summary of the last session of the YouTube. 3 chapters. You have to look at it as a project manager sitting for or getting prepared to PMP exam. To familiarize yourself with the definitions, the types of organization, and the methodology to accomplish a project through the 5 processing group. And I give you approach. This approach is consists of 2 phases. Phase one of 2 weeks, you get familiar with the knowledge area, and the second phase is you go through the processing group in a vertical way. And today, our objective is in 2 sessions, part one of 2 parts. Part one to let you be able to know what are the 10 knowledge areas, what the project management plan, how to define it, to know the components of it, and what the contents of the project management plan. For the part two is again, I'll walk you through 5 processing group with the input tools and techniques and with the new tasks. Now, what to study for the when you look at the knowledge area? For the first phase, you go for chapter 4 and you go from the beginning of initiating till the closing, and the same thing with the chapter 5. And I'd like you to know the outputs. My concern is to know the project management plan is not one piece, is not separated plans for scope or schedule or cost. No, it is one piece in a file. Um, so you know this is our nine. When you go to page 78, you go your own way. My way, I summarize it in this way. If you like it, please, by all means, use it to memorize your project management plan. Not for the exam, but for your real life. And know the difference between PMP and documents. If you want to make fun with your staff and you want to connect and you want to test them to know the difference between the project management plan and the project document, ask him to get you a stakeholder register, for example, and ask him to go for the project management plan to get it from. It is not there because your project management plan has the trick here at the end has used the word plan. Everything ended with the plan, it is part of the project management plan, except if the baseline, this is the different, but you know also that the scope baseline, the schedule baseline, cost baseline, it is part of the project management plan. And now, what the purpose of the project management plan? I mean, what the elements of the project management plan? I don't want you to memorize anything, but I'd like you to know that the components of the project management plan is to know what the project charter is as input there, the 3 baselines there, and if you are fed up with the memorizing and everything, use the 5 letter magic letters. Who is doing what, where, why, and when, and how much, and know that the PMP should be updated. So I'd like you to ask a question. What the purpose of using the PMP exam? If you don't have recipe, if you don't have the project management plan, it is a recipe of disaster. You have to be a proactive manager instead of being reactive. You have to facilitate communication among team members. You have to do you have something documents of planning your assumption, your decision, your scope, baselines, and so forth. Having said that, we're gonna go for the objective session two, and I'll walk you through the 5 processing group, the inputs and the outputs, and I'll focus a little bit on the new tasks. You know the concepts of Plan, Do, Check, Act, coined by Seward in 1939. The guy who used to work in Bell Laboratories, and he and it is this concept popularized by Deming. And you know, the five processing group, it is not in a straightforward, but it in a cycle. All right, it is not straightforward. What's the components of every processing group? You have the total anyway, don't worry about it. I mean, you have to be worried about it, but the total number is 47. But I'd like you to memorize everyone to know that the initiating, there's two processes, develop project charter and uh, identify stakeholders. And you have to go by everyone to know this is related to the initiating, what's related to the planning, and so forth. Now, do I have to memorize all the 47 processes? Yes, please do that. So I'd like you to walk you through the next slide, which is about how to understand the process. It is all the time starting with a verb. This is the new concept that the PMI introduced, that the process usually start with verb, noun format, develop project charter. Now it is inputs, Turing techniques, and outputs. Look at it as what I need to make a cup of coffee. So you need inputs, sugar, coffee, milk, and the what the tool, how you're gonna make it with the tool and techniques, what the output, this is cup of coffee. What the total numbers of the tools and techniques and the inputs and the outputs, again, do I have to memorize it? I'll walk you to tell you to memorize what as inputs, what's to memorize in a tool and technique, what to memorize in the outputs. So make the logic. Don't memorize anything. Make the logic of inputs, make the logic of tool and techniques, make the logic of the output. Now, their tasks accompanied by processing group. There's PMI added 8 tasks that have been added. It's not process. Don't get confused with the process and task. To the PMBOK Guide 5th edition. It is not there, but you can go to the website and find them there in their websites. Now, I'll walk you through the on the initiating processing group, but I'll have to mention some notes here. You know that the initiating processing group has only 2 processes, as you see here. And the purpose of it is in chapter 4, integration knowledge area. And you know that the outcome is a project charter and stakeholder registers. All right. Now, what's to read about the 3 tasks that has been added? I put them in blue. You know that what tasks you have to do, you have to work on to develop project charter, the process, what efforts you have to do to accomplish getting the project charters. The same thing with the identify stakeholders, what you have to do to identify your stakeholders. That's the task that you have to accomplish. Regarding the planning processing, it is made up of 24 processes. The outputs here of one process are often used as inputs to the subsequent planning process. For example, when you define scope, what the output project scope statement, you take it as input to develop, to use as input when you create work breakdown structures. What the output here, work breakdown structure, you are going to use it as input when you define activities. I have a trick for you here. When you go to the task, we have just added one task. Um, you know the task that should be taken to develop project management plan. Now it is ordered, but I'd like you to focus on number 13. When you develop your project management plan, having done that, the last step, you have to conduct kickoff meeting to inform and engage stakeholders and gain commitment. Um, you will find some missing here, process improvement management plan, configuration management plan, but don't worry, I'll just ask you to pay attention that it is not here in the task. It should be there. Okay. Now, the same thing should be said about the executing processing group here. It's made up of 8 processes. Think of it as implement or do step. What's the purpose is to complete the work defined in the project management plan to meet the project objectives. The same thing about the task. It is two has been added. You look at it, you know that the task that should be taken, you develop all 8 processes in the executing processing group. My notes on the project monitoring and the control processing group, it is 11 processes. It is coming from measuring, monitoring, controlling, inspecting, reviewing, comparing, verifying, anything. These words, when you see in the MEP exam, you know it is related to the monitoring and controlling process. Now, you know the task that should be taken when you develop the 11 processes in monitoring and the controlling process. This is the two things has been added to the monitoring and controlling process group. The last thing here, it is closing. Again, it is only of 2 processes. You have to close when you close your project or phase, any contract must be closed after product has been identified, verified against the scope, delivered to the customer satisfaction. The close project or phase project record must be updated. Project archives needs to be updated. Lesson learned need to be updated, and then you release the resources. Then you look at the tasks. No change, nothing has been added. You look at it. So it is what I like you to do. You arrange this task in order. So in a logic order. So this is the trick. This is the homework for you to know the logic order of any task of any one of those processing group. Then I give you 5 questions. You go one by one. Don't just read the questions. Answer the questions. And the question number one is related to the order of processing group. Like, are you going through planning and then checking and then no? That's the question. The purpose is to know what the right order for the following. For the second question, when you perform execute process group, you do this except what? This word except you will find a lot in the exam. The third questions is about initiating processing group consists of the processes performed to do what, right? So this is the main things about the question. Just to read it, look at it, and this is show you if you pass all of them, how um, how you are, what's your level of understanding of the chapter one and chapter two and chapter three. Well, you are not going to find the answers here. I put the answers in the projectmetricsolution.com. You go for resources there, and then you go for download everything there for free. Now, in summary, what I'd like you to do, in summary, to know the knowledge area, project integration management up to the project stakeholder management, and you know the components of the project management plan. Don't look at it as a separate. No, it is all together. Form for you the scope management plan, and then when you go for the 5 processing group, the total 47 pages. It is in page 61. You memorize it? Yes, I like you to memorize, and then you know the logic order of tasks to all processes. That's gonna be your homework. So it is this is the basic things to before you attend any PMP class uh, to get familiar with all the component of the project management plan, the processing group. It make big difference. Now your homework is to know the 6 processes in integration knowledge area. This is going to be our next session. And you identify the 5 processing groups in integration knowledge area, and you know the input and output. If you are ready for the exam, try not to forget to read it according to the processing group. Please go and subscribe and go to my website and download for free. Um, there you're going to find useful links to other leading you to many sort of exam. Focus on the exam which is working. The setup is according to the processing group. Thank you. See you the next session. Bye bye.